Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? It's good to see you all. My name is Timothy Johnson. I'm a Silicon Valley native, and I am a career serial entrepreneur. And I'm delighted to be here today to be able to discuss with you a situation that we've all been facing. For the last 2 years, we have all been up to our neck in adversity. And during this time, we've had to weather and go through lockdowns, isolation, not being able to have mobility. And as a result, our lives have been drastically changed. For the parents with their kids at home and having to provide childcare while they were being educated online, to the workers who did all of their work via remote. It's really been a profound change. One of the areas where we've seen some of the most profound change has been in the area of food. Okay, and with that, I would like to discuss emerging opportunities in nutritional diets post-pandemic, because as dark as these days have been, there is some reason for hope. And I'd like to go over that. As we head into the post-pandemic, and it could be a while longer, because the situation now really is an endemic, where we'll be seeing milder strains of disease. But as we learn to live with the situation, we are showing progress toward moving in a direction of a better food system. Okay, this is being driven by innovation, and there's been some very drastic shifts in consumer behavior. The food industry, some people may or may not know, is a $3 trillion industry when you look at all aspects, from food service, which would be the restaurants, to the groceries, okay, to the entertainment, and also the hospitality industry, where they rely on feeding people while they're moving from destination to destination. We're looking at 3 key areas right now where we're going to be seeing how this better food system will shape up. The first area that I want to talk about briefly is nutrition security. Okay, nutrition security, it's very similar to food security in that we have a situation right now. We are looking at the population of the planet to be about 10 billion people by 2050. And there's a huge amount of starvation on the planet. Okay, under the Paris Agreement, and also with the UN's SDG. Okay, we really need to be looking, when we feed these people, we have to feed them better. We've got to give them wholesome, fresh food, okay, and it doesn't need to be processed food. We can make a difference right now in feeding the hungry. Okay, we've also seen a second major development over the course of the pandemic, where people, when they could not go to restaurants, they had to stay home and they had to learn how to cook. You know, what a novel concept. You know, in 2 generations, we've seen the tradition of families and people and singles, you know, eating in to where everybody now, it's an outdoor, you know, outside dining culture, which has radically shifted. We're seeing, as a result of the restaurant closures, consumers have rediscovered their relationships with food, and they're now having food delivered to their home, which they're actually having to cook vis-a-vis a number of the providers. And they're also eating healthier. They're eating better ingredients than you would get buying processed food that was more of the norm and the tradition in the past. The third area right now that we're looking at, of course, is in the area of alternative proteins and indoor farming. Okay, food technology venture capital investment has soared, okay, just between 2019 and 2021. In these areas, it has grown by a staggering 7x, up to $5 billion. Okay, we're going to continue to see this trend occur because it's only the tip of the iceberg. We're looking at a chart here. This just came out 10 days ago. This is Deloitte. Okay, and what they've examined here is what these trends are actually shaping up, you know, and the basic net activity change, you know, before the pandemic and after the pandemic, and you know how it's reflected here. Okay, the blue bars that you're seeing on the top are showing areas of growth, And the orange bars that you're seeing are showing areas of decline. The areas of growth, it's no coincidence, it's cooking at home, it's buying fresh food, eating healthier, and it's working from home, and it's also ordering online. All of these trends are growing. The data is here. The areas that are right now seeing a decline, you're seeing staying at hotels or motels, you're seeing a lack of people willing to take public transportation, people eating at restaurants, people taking flights, and essentially people going to in-person events, which might explain certain factors that are quite evident. But nonetheless, we are seeing this change, and Deloitte bears it out with this recent report. The areas where we're seeing future food innovations right now, okay, these are the trends that are literally going to be changing the future of the industry. Okay, the first area, of course, is health and immunity. The second area, we're seeing tremendous growth in the plant-based sector. We're looking at areas of sustainability, where people want that accountability, they want transparency, and they want traceability in being able to know that they've got food safety and that everybody is being fed, that there is food equity. And the last area, of course, is we're seeing more innovation and we're seeing more development with cell-based and cultured alternative protein forms, such as the alternative meats. Let's talk about sustainable nutrition. This is the one major megatrend from all the activity post-pandemic. Okay, what we're looking at here are the four areas on the quad. We're seeing health nutrition, economic, environmental, and socio-cultural. Okay, under health and nutrition, we're looking at nutritionally adequate, safe, and healthy factors. People are looking for this. Under the economics, it needs to be accessible. We need to have economically fair and affordable food that people can purchase in order to eat. Environmentally, we've got to see a reduction in terms of the environmental impact, okay, which would account for some of the growth in some of these areas that we're seeing right now. And socio-culturally, it needs to be culturally acceptable in terms of meeting the norms and standards of locales, regionally, worldwide. We're doing all of these four factors right now. We must be mindful for people, for the planet, and for society. We need to have more sustainable farming and sourcing of all food. We need to have our closed loop supply chains. We need to increase the health and nutrition value in the waste streams. Okay, and we have to find new solutions through innovation in order to feed the populations. The key growth drivers right now, which is making this occur, it's really intergenerationally playing out. The Gen Z right now is fully embracing nutrition and wellness. Maybe too many of them grew up eating pizza, or maybe too many of them grow up eating mac and cheese. But we are seeing the trend right now is that consumers are reevaluating their diets. They are paying more attention to nutritional transparency, okay, and traceability, and they really are attempting right now to be able to take better control of their own health. Let's get right down to brass tacks. What are we eating? I was astounded when I saw these figures. This is from the Economic Research Group, okay, for the US Department of Agriculture. Between 2010 and 2020, this came as a shock to me, and I'm a professional, 70% of all caloric intake by the American public is plant-based. We're dealing with an overweight epidemic with the people who are eating, and then we've got the people who don't have enough to eat. The path is clear. Plant-based is going to win the day in the end, whatever your preferences might be. So let's look at where the growth opportunities are right now with plant-based foods. Okay, it is gaining traction, and it is doing so very fast. One of our colleagues earlier this week, they spoke of the plant-based global market as being a $29 billion industry. Well, I'm here to tell you right now that the market forecasts are for incredible growth. We're looking at that being at $162 billion forecast by the year 2030. That's about a 5.5 to 6x bump up in growth. That's astounding. That's a 355% level of growth just in this decade alone. We're also seeing increased diversification in terms of what defines plant-based market. We're seeing accelerating year-on-year growth. Okay, some of the verticals within the plant-based segment include plant-based eggs, which in 2 years, just from 2019 to today, during the pandemic, we've seen a growth of 168% in just the last 2.5 years. We've seen plant-based cheese during the same period of time, an incredible rate of growth of 43%. We've seen 83% for plant-based spreads, dips, and sauces. And right now, the alternative protein market with the alternative meats, okay, this is about a $4 billion market today. Okay, it is forecasted to be at $74 billion in the course of the next 8 years. So there's tremendous upside right now in terms of where the demand in the marketplace is. And for people in the food industry seeking opportunities, you've got to go where the indicators are. And the road signs look very encouraging. Our top 10 superfoods for 2022. Okay, this is based on a research group out of New York City, the Pollock Communications. Okay, they're looking at right now the demand for strong health and wellness benefits in food and beverage. People are looking to do this not just to look better, but they actually want to boost their immunity to prevent COVID or other related diseases. Okay, and which foods are right now ranked? This is the top 10, beginning with fermented foods, blueberries, which I had for my breakfast this morning. They're looking at seeds, exotic fruits, avocado, green tea, which I had this morning before I came here, nuts, ancient grains, spinach, leafy greens, and kale. I'm sure that you've got a few of your own favorites, but these are the ones right now that are leading the charge. Okay, we're also having to look at how can we prioritize nutritional health and wellness. Okay, we're moving from the market norms of the past 100 years where food was being processed and over-processed, and it was being canned, it was being frozen, and it was being served at ambient temperatures on store shelves where you might do your grocery shopping. And with all of these different factors, okay, clearly we have not been taking care of ourselves. So we are now seeing this trend is moving away from the past, okay, and it is moving towards the area of more individualized needs and preferences, okay? So along this value chain, what are we looking at here? Well, for food producers, take note, because this is where the pathway to the future lies. You've got to be looking at different demographics from an age standpoint. We've got very specific targeted needs for the aging population. The baby boomer generation right now, as they go from their 60s and into their 70s and 80s, okay, they're not dying, they're living longer, okay? And with that trend, we're also having to address what are their dietary and nutritional needs, okay? So the medical community and the healthcare experts need to be looking in that direction. We also need to hold accountable the producers of these foods in terms of having ethical labeling. Okay, we need to see more regulations right now with respect that people cannot be making spurious claims as to what the ingredients are, what the benefits are, when in fact they are merely greenwashing, okay, their brand value by trying to make it look as if they're offering healthy food when they're not. So we need more accountability in this area. We are also looking at areas of provenance, of flavors, and super grains, where this needs to be incorporated more into the diet in order to be able to really maintain a healthy and sustainable diet. And the area right now that is driving venture capital in the food space, of course, are the technological advances and how they're impacting, okay, this dramatic consumer shift in food preferences. And perhaps the holy grail, okay, the ultimate target within the food space will be personalized nutrition. Okay, personalized nutrition, it might be looking at everything from dietary concerns to weight loss methods, to being able to deal with food allergies, and to be able to have that value chain and that supply chain being able to deliver exactly what your needs are. Speaking on that note, personalized nutrition. This is the holy grail, and this will be the ultimate goal over the course of the next 5 to 10 years in the food industry. Okay, we're really looking at tremendous long-term research and development needs to be able to increase that capacity and increase that technological reach in order to be able to deliver customizable individual nutrition for every person on the planet. Again, looking back to what we stated at the beginning, if we're looking at nutritional security, being able to be the mate of food security as we try to be able to feed these 10 billion people on our planet by the year 2050, we're going to have to be able to do so in a much more efficient way. Science will lead the way. What we're looking at here on this graph here is on the x-axis, we are looking at level of investment. On the y-axis, we're looking at level of development. We've got a long ways to go because this is a long-term process. At the present time, we're looking at one product for all type of products. You know, even as we're trying to get people to eat more healthy, at the current point, we're promoting natural, healthy solutions. We're looking at organics in terms of options in the marketplace for consumers, and we're looking at BFY, better for you, value propositions. That's where we're at today. Where we need to go to be able to take it up to the next level is product personalization. And by that, we're talking about fortifieds and functional solutions. We're talking about, as I referenced a moment ago, food intolerances and how we're going to be able to deal with people's very specific health needs, and ultimately working in partnership with our healthcare partners. As was pointed out earlier at this event by Chef Coco, okay, she brought up the fact that food and health are not two separate conferences. Okay, we are both sides of the same coin, because without food and healthy food, you're going to have long-term systemic health issues. So at the bottom line here is with product personalization, we really be able to need to see how we're working hand in glove with medical nutrition in partnership with the healthcare world. So that pretty much wraps up just a top-level overview. All of the data that has been gathered and collected for this presentation, this is not a canned pitch. This was specifically put together for this event. So it's all the latest data, and by latest, I mean literally within the last 10 days coming in. Lastly, we're going to look at the predictions post-pandemic. Consumers right now are seeking snacks. They're eating lighter and they're eating more often. They're also looking for food that is going to help immunize them from any more pandemic effects. And the bottom line is they just want some comfort from COVID. They're tired of it. We're seeing a 95% bump up in people working from home, seeking comfort snacking. We're seeing 80% of consumers right now, they're only looking for affordable, value-based food and beverage that can help support their immune needs. And lastly, we're looking at 90% of consumers saying that online food shopping is here to stay. So I want to thank you all. This last slide here, if you have any questions or would like to be able to receive this pitch deck with all of this latest data and statistical information and analysis in these sets, this is completely open source. It was produced for this event. This is for each of you to be able to share. So if you have any questions at all, you might want to just take down the email address here, and we will make sure to be able to make that available to anyone who might be able to repurpose this information for your own uses in trying to create a better and more healthy food world. Thank you very much. If anyone has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
I think I'll ask one, if that's okay. Yeah. So you were talking about superfood. I love blueberries, and I do drink a lot of green tea, which is a good thing as it is a superfood. So what does it make it superfood? Why it is a superfood? Is it good for, like, is it helping in afterwards of pandemic, or is it anything special?
Okay, in terms of defining what qualifies and quantifies a superfood, okay, this is defined by its health benefits, okay, whether or not it is high in antioxidants, in being able to combat any deleterious effects that's caused just from day-to-day living. It might be stress reduction. It might be increased energy levels. And it might be supporting your immune systems, and at the same time, it might even be promoting specific areas of health, including areas such as heart health.
Oh, okay, thank you. Anybody have any other question? No problem. Thank you so much, Mr. Timothy.